Hey guys, good morning. Guess what we're gonna do today? That's right, more stuff. So we're gonna work on a project that I've actually had longer than some of my others I've been working on, but that I've very easily backburnered. We're gonna be working on the old Ford back here. I actually bought this probably about 2 months before I bought the Bronco, and got it into running driving shape, but didn't take it any farther. And that's what we're going to be working on over the next couple days. So this truck is actually a 1976 Ford F-350, and it was a special order U-Haul truck. So this one, I imagine, originally was a box cab, was the box on the back deal. Ford made them as what they call a cab chassis truck, so it was just the front half, just that front cab, and then nothing but frame in the back. And then U-Haul would fit their box onto them. Interesting thing with this truck is, although these Fords are some of the most common trucks out there, this one is kind of more of actually a rarity because it's an F-350, but it has F-600 running gear because Ford and U-Haul had them specially made that way. So this thing's actually got a Dana 70 rear end. It's a dualie. It's got a new process 435 4-speed, which is the granny first gear manual 4-speed. It's got a 330 cubic inch big block that they call the industrial motor. All the stuff that you would get if you were to order like an F600 dump truck, this thing's got, but with an F350 cab on it, which makes it kind of cool because it's a lot more rugged, durable. I mean, this thing's been taking a licking for a while. And of all the vehicles in the fleet, sure enough, it's usually the one that fires right up and comes to life. Unfortunately, I've been scavenging some parts off of it for some of my other projects, as you've seen. So right now, I know it has no battery in it. It has no key cylinder in the driver's door, which doesn't matter because I didn't have keys for it anyway. And one of the tires in the rear is flat, so we got to do a little bit of love to it before we can even get it out of the spot it's in and get it up into the driveway. A couple things I know it needs are brake lines. I actually had a blown brake line. I just smashed it with a hammer to try and build enough pressure to get it home from where I had it parked down in Keystone Heights, because the lines are so brittle and so thin it actually just blew the side out of one of the lines. So I've got a new brake line kit. We've got to get that put on. That's the goal for today. So we're going to try and get her up, get her running, get her moved into the driveway, start taking those brake lines apart so I can make some measurements and make some new lines for it. That is the goal for today. Over the next week, we've got a couple other things planned for it. I really want to get the thing cleaned up a little bit body-wise and interior-wise. I'm going to try and do like a Rat Resto, I guess, on this. The outside's going to look pretty much just like it does now. But we're going to clean it up a little bit. I'm going to give it a light sanding. I'm going to wash it, give it a light sanding, but leave all these different colors of 47 years of different primers and paints and everything else. You can see a little bit of the original orange from the U-Haul on it. I'm going to straighten this fender up, clean up the grill a little bit, but then we're going to clean the paint, and I've got some of that, the VGG, the Vice Grip Garage Patina Preserver, the wipe-on gloss. So we're actually going to do a wipe-on clear coat on it and lock all that in just to kind of keep it funky, you know. We're gonna probably repaint the cab. I got some plans for that. I'm sorry, the bed. I've got some ideas for what we're gonna do on that flatbed area. And then interior, we're just gonna clean up and leave stock. We're gonna leave it the orange U-Haul look and just spiff it up a little bit. This is how every great project starts, right? Fix a flat on a battery. Snagged the battery back from it. That was actually in the boat, which I'll be doing a video on that here shortly as well. Got myself a new water car, but we're gonna get the battery stuck back in there and try and pull her around, get her up in the drive here. So before we can do that, we gotta throw this hood open, get this battery installed. That inner back tire there is dead flat, so we gotta fix that so I don't slip the bead trying to move it. And then hopefully she just breathes right to life. I guess before we get too far, I'll give you a little walk around on this old girl. So she's a lot of different colors right now, but she was all this orange, U-Haul orange. Had a box, I'm sure, on the back. The previous owner said he slapped this thing on it. It's a pretty stout flatbed, but it's been sitting for a long time, and because it was flat, we've got some weight reduction going on. Looks cool from underneath. The mad scientist has done some crazy bar welding and stuff under here to add he did add a fifth wheel receiver up underneath it. So that's neat. It's got that big old Dana 70 in the rear and about 8,000 leaf springs. It's got the 8-lug wheels on it. It was fun to find wheels to fit this thing. What I ended up actually doing was getting Dodge Ram, like early 2000s Dodge Ram dualie wheels, and I had to drill them out a little bit to get them to clear the studs, because even the studs on these things are massive. So that was fun. Original gas tank's been gas axed. I'm running it off a fuel cell in the rear here right now. I'll show you how I got that rigged up. But you can see that big 70 tires. Frame's got some surface rust, but overall it's actually not that bad. Exhaust ends basically right there at that little almost muffler. It's got the big heavy duty front end as well. We'll get you over there. I like this custom bumper he's got going too. And I did the headlights. That's my fancy work. I mean, you can see the big heavy duty front end on it. That, I guess that's that twin I-beam setup. The brakes actually were redone not too long before I got it. They're all rusted because they're just that pot metal, but they are newer calipers and pads on it, which is good in the front. But the rear, like I said, has blown a line, so the brakes don't work at all right now. Here's the wild thing. Even though this thing's about 1 million different colors of paint, the body is in extremely good shape. It does have some surface rust, which we're going to clean up, like I said, and seal over so it doesn't become anything serious. But there's really almost no rot on this truck. The worst spot is right here at the bottom of this door. So we're going to clean that up. I do have some Bondo, I believe, in the garage. So we're going to clean that up and fix that and prime over this spot before we clear it. I need to try and bend this fender back out. I'm not going to replace it because I want to keep all these funky original colors. But we're going to try and bend this back out and raise this fender back up because you'll see it when the hood's down. It kind of sits in an angle. You can see how it takes this nosedive a little here. So, you know, the panel gaps on this are tight. Amazingly enough, even the hood, this spot right here is notorious for rusting on these 70s Fords. The hood is one of the better ones I've seen. Looks like it might have a little bit of Bondo work right here. We'll have to clean that up and kind of see what it looks like a little bit more underneath, but solid truck. Here's the party side. 330 big block, what they call the 330 industrial motor. It does have a Holley carb on it. It looks like it's probably it might be a single barrel actually. It's either a single or a small 2-barrel, which even though it's a Holley might be original for this truck. If you're gonna hop it up, you're not gonna put something that small on it. Allegedly these did have a governor on them for these motors by U-Haul. I don't know if it's still in place or not. I don't even know where it would be located. It's got the spacer block right here. I don't know if maybe that has something to do with that restriction. But she's pretty all original, unfortunately, under here. It's got some auto light plugs in it. I want to yank those, see how they look. But like I said, this thing does actually run pretty good. We've got, looks like a newer-ish alternator on it. The belt is almost to breakage and super loose. I'm sure it needs thermostats. I'm sure it probably needs a water pump. It definitely needs hoses. Listen to this. Crunchy. It needs a lot. So that's what we're going to be working on, is just getting this thing a little more roadworthy. It does have a new fuel pump on it, so that's cool. But she's seen some things. Get some chewed on blue wire here. Where's that running? Oh, that's just the it's tack signal for the HEI, so that shouldn't be that chewed on. So we'll have to fix that up. She's you know, custom. It does have an HEI distributor on it, so that's obviously not original, but that's a good thing. Those coil systems on these fail a lot. That the box right here, those things always turn to jello and then leak out everywhere. Like I said, master cylinder, all that does work. I know it builds plenty of pressure, enough to blow lines apart. It's got some wires that have been cut and hodgepodged. A lot of that was to convert this thing to the HEI system. So we're gonna go through and kind of clean and pretty that up a little bit. I want to get it clean under the hood, but I'm not going to do anything too crazy to it. I just want to get everything clean, easy enough to work on. I might repaint the block and heads, but I'm not going to yank it out or anything like that. And then I'll probably clean up the engine bay, but leave it looking about how it looks now, just better. I don't know if it even has any coolant in it. Well, I guess it's got something. Yeah, and that actually doesn't look that bad, so that's good. Fuel filter's looking nice and cruddy. We're gonna leave that on for the time being. That fuel cell in the back there came with it. It was empty, but I don't know how nasty the inside of it was. This air filter has seen some better days. We'll probably take that thing apart and replace it. I can actually see straight through it right here, so that foam inside is just totally rotten away. So that's doing nothing. Here's your fancy diagram showing all the serviceable parts, the drain for the oil, the brake master cylinder, the steering gearbox, where to lubricate the cab, the hood. Kind of neat. It walks you through. Oh, this is cool. It shows you engine timing, 6 degrees before top dead center at 600 RPM. Spark gap is 0.040. Belt tension, which we're not within. This is cool too. Motor oil 10W40. Axle oil 90 weight. Cooling system 22 quarts. That's a lot. Transmission oil 50 weight. Non-detergent engine oil. I have heard you can put 40 or 50 weight oil in this, so we'll be changing that out as well. And then chassis lubricant, they're just saying grease all your Zerk fittings under here. Pretty cool. It even gives you part numbers for like the fuel filter, oil filter, all the stuff that would be hard to figure out and come by since this is an oddball engine. Also shows you some wiring to the chassis to van body, they call it. Kind of cool. I'll snap some photos of that stuff too, just to throw it in here. This video will be really helpful if someone else has one of these U-Hauls, because it's really hard to find information on these 330s or how any of it works. Here's the other side of this bad boy. Like I said, also in really good shape. This side actually, it's got some bubbling here, but nothing's through. Cab corner's tight. Again, a little bit of bubbling, but this cab is in surprisingly good shape. There's some rust starting to come through on the drip rails here that we'll wire wheel and clean up. But overall, it's pretty good. I'll show you the inside on this guy. All that cool factory U-Haul orange on the dash. The door cards look like they've probably been repainted at one point because they're in pretty good shape. That nice black. I'm going to yank these off, clean the doors up, and I may actually paint the doors back orange on the inside to match the dash. Right now someone, I think, has replaced these doors with ones from another truck because they're the only thing on the inside that's not orange. So probably not original. You got your Big giant e-brake cable here. Lever. Hood release. You got 3 pedals because that's the way it should be. And actually a surprisingly decent seat. It does have a separation on the driver's side. But the rest of it's in pretty good shape. I love all the cool old school U-Haul stickers. Vehicle identification number. It's even got a plug-in for bring your own CB radio. Delete for the cigarette lighter. He's got the tack mounted right to the ashtray. Very cool. Tack does work too. U-Haul AM/FM radio. It is not an AC truck. It does have heat. The heat does work. When I first got it, it was overheating something fierce on the way to get it home, so I had to kick the heat on just to limp her back. It's even got, this is kind of cool, low fuel economy bulb. The bulb's burned out. I need to change it out. But basically, if you get heavy enough on the throttle, it triggers a little sensor and throws that light on for you. It has a light indicator for your parking brake being left on that's been popped in. At some point, we'll pull this dash card out and see what it looks like behind there. Very cool. All the old U-Haul postings and information everywhere. Tells you to watch for overhead clearances, check the oil, and put that 10W40 in it. Pretty neat. Headliner starting to sag in that corner, but it's in one piece still, so I think we can actually fix that. Probably get it up high enough and get it tucked in, and I'll make some little kind of tabs to help hold it in. I'd like to retain it. Be kind of neat. It even has the dome light. I've never seen one of these 70s trucks with the dome light still intact. Very cool interior. It's got the same basic setup as an F-150 does, but it just feels a little bit larger and bigger in here because it's just so simple and stripped down. But pretty cool. Plan on the inside is get the doors orange again, keep the door cards black, clean the dash, but I'm not going to replace or repaint anything. I want to keep that original orange. I'll probably just clean it up really good, wax it. Clean up that dash pad a little bit. But overall, it's even the dash pad is not as bad as most that I've seen. It's got 2 cracks in it, but all my other ones have been like way up in the air, and I've actually removed them and just put the plastic inserts over it. But pretty cool little truck. It's got that new process 4-speed. Knob is upside down, but bam. Very cool truck. We're gonna throw a battery in it, see if she'll do something for us, and get her in the driveway so we can work on those brakes. Alright, so neighbor's cutting down a tree, so that's gonna be a little loud. But we're gonna go ahead and fix a flat this bad boy. Normally I'd say fix a flat's not really a fix for much of anything, but this tire doesn't have a nail in it that I can see. It doesn't have any glaring issues. I think it's just either an issue with the way the bead is set, or maybe it's a valve stem issue, but there's nothing really that I can tell going on with it. Again, this is going to be really just a farm truck. So I've put air in this thing a couple times. It runs flat over just a couple days. So we're gonna give her some of this juice and let it chew on that, and that should do the trick for us, I'm thinking. Of course, it's got to be the inside one, so we got to worm our way up in here. See if that holds. This is the battery that came with it, actually. And it's a nice Optima battery, so we're not gonna change something that works. Throw this on here. Terminals really need to be cleaned. It's pretty corroded, but if I can get it to fire off and get it in the driveway, we'll do everything else over there. I don't even know if it still has fuel in it. find out a lot of things. Battery tray is kind of saggy on this front end. I'll probably try and lift it up and shim it with something too. This whole nose of this truck is kind of down right here. Good morning. Finally working on this old jalopy. All right, I think she's ready for the initial start. So we're gonna cross our fingers and crank on the key for a little bit and see what happens. Mechanical fuel pump, so it's going to take a while to build up a prime, I'm sure. Best running thing I got. This thing hasn't run in probably a month, at least, maybe 2 months, since before I got the boat. The battery's been out of it. Hit the gas pedal 3 times, fired right off. Mechanical fuel pump pulling, which means the needle and the carb's good because it didn't lose all the fuel. Fantastic. Clear space in the driveway, we're going to move this thing over. So my goal is to make this a whole series of videos. I actually have the next week off of work. I was actually on a 2-week vacation, so this is a week's worth of man beard, little boy beard, whatever you want to call it. But so on this vacation, I spent the first week down in Keystone Heights doing some stuff down there. I didn't really take any video. None of it was super exciting, but I was just doing some maintenance on the property down there. Now it's time to do some stuff around the house. So one of the big projects is getting this thing cleaned up, back together, and then it's going to actually go live down in Keystone Heights as my work truck down there. So I'm going to make a series of videos on this truck. Goal is over the next couple days, get everything done, and we'll do a series kind of like the Bronco setup we did. And at the end of it, hopefully this thing will be looking and running pretty nice. It is really loud. It's got a leak in the exhaust manifold, so we might take it somewhere and have a little bit of exhaust work done on it. We'll see. I don't know how crazy we're going to get on it because it's not going to be an everyday driver. It's not going to be something I'm going to dump a ton of money into. I just want it to look cool, run good, and just put in some work out in the woods. But should be a fun little project. I'm excited to take you guys around it. Again, anybody that has one of these old U-Haul rigs will appreciate this because it's just so hard to find good info on it. And this one's pretty intact, pretty complete, and actually it may not look it, but a pretty solid, base, a platform to build upon. So stay tuned and we're going to dive in.